The perfect hunt. The crystalline ship Shadowfang emerged from hyperspace like a predator's tooth, its obsidian surface reflecting the pale blue marble of Earth. Commander Vexer stood at the bridge, his scaled skin shimming under the ambient lights as he studied the holographic readouts of their latest hunting ground. Another primitive world, he said, mandibles clicking in disappointment. But the bio-readings are intriguing. First Officer Naira moved beside him, her cybernetic eyes whirring as they focused on the data streams. Unlike Vexer's massive frame, built for combat and intimidation, Naira's slender form was enhanced for analysis and precision. The diversity indices are off the charts, Commander. I've never seen such varied evolution patterns. Behind them, Weapons Master Krell snorted, his armored exoskeleton clanking as he checked his arsenal of capture devices. Diversity means nothing. Primitive is primitive. Their largest predators barely match a juvenile Hraxian cave stalker. Vexer's inner eyelids flickered in amusement. Their team had hunted across 17 galaxies, capturing the most dangerous creatures for the galactic menagerie. Earth would be just another trophy, another testament to their supremacy. Show me their apex predators, he commanded. The hologram shifted, displaying various Earth creatures, lions, tigers, bears, killer whales. Krell's laughter echoed through the bridge. These are their deadliest? We could take the whole planet's collection in a single cycle. But Naira remained focused on her readings. Commander, there's something unusual about the atmospheric composition. The bacterial density is unlike anything in our database. And these electromagnetic patterns. Irrelevant, Vexer interrupted. Prepare the hunting pods. We'll begin with their largest land predator, this Siberian tiger. Then we'll methodically work our way down their pathetic food chain. As the crew dispersed to their stations, the ship's biological computer, integrated with living tissue from their homeworld, sent an unexpected surge through its neural networks. For a fraction of a second, its organic components registered something the mechanical systems missed, a vast, interconnected web of communication flowing through Earth's biosphere. The hunting pods deployed under the cover of night, their stealth fields rendering them invisible to Earth's primitive detection systems. Vexer led the first team, accompanied by Krell and their tracking specialist, Zara, whose sensory tendrils could detect prey across vast distances. They landed in a remote section of the Siberian wilderness, where ancient forests stretched endlessly under a star-filled sky. The hunters emerged in their exosuits, designed to protect them from any environment while enhancing their natural abilities. Pathetic, Krell muttered, scanning the quiet forest. No energy weapons, no gravity manipulation, not even basic atmospheric processors. How did life survive here? Zara's tendrils wavered in the cold air. The target is 3 kilometers northeast. It's strange. The biorhythms are unlike our records suggested. Vexer activated his suit's advanced camouflage, becoming nearly invisible against the snowy landscape. Move out. Standard capture formation. Remember, we want it alive for the menagerie. As they moved through the forest, none of them noticed the subtle changes happening around them. Tiny spores attached themselves to their suits, beginning an invisible process of analysis and adaptation. Insects altered their patterns, creating complex warning signals that rippled through the ecosystem. Even the trees seemed to shift, their ancient root networks carrying signals deeper into the earth. The tiger's trail led them to a clearing, where fresh tracks marked the snow. Vexer raised his hand, signaling the team to deploy their containment field, an energy net that could hold creatures 10 times the tiger's size. Then everything went wrong. Their first warning was Zara's sudden gasp. Commander, the readings, they're everywhere. Not just the tiger, but everything. The trees, the soil, even the air. Before Vexer could respond, their suit's external sensors began failing one by one. The containment field fluctuated, its energy signature distorted by something in the environment. And from the darkness came a sound that made even Vexor's battle-hardened blood run cold, not just the roar of their intended prey, but a chorus of nature itself, rising in unified defense. The perfect hunt was about to become a perfect nightmare. Unexpected resistance. The forest erupted into chaos. The Siberian tiger they'd been tracking emerged from the shadows, but it didn't attack, not directly. Instead, it moved with an unnatural precision, as if guided by an invisible intelligence. Vexor's targeting systems couldn't lock onto it, the creature's heat signature somehow dispersed across the entire area. Containment field now. Vexor commanded, but Krell's equipment sputtered and died, its advanced circuitry compromised by microscopic organisms that had already begun adapting to their technology. Impossible, Krell snarled, switching to manual controls. These primitives can't. His words cut off as the ground beneath them shifted. What they'd dismissed as simple snow and soil revealed itself as a complex network of fungal colonies, releasing spores that sought out the weaknesses in their suits' joints. Zara's sensory tendrils whipped frantically. "Commander, the entire forest is reacting. The trees, they're communicating through their root systems. Warning each other. Coordinating." Vexor refused to accept defeat. He'd hunted the phase-shifting phantoms of the nebula wastes, captured the psychic predators of Gamma-9. This primitive world wouldn't best him. He activated his plasma blade, its energy field cutting through the organic interference. But Earth had only begun to reveal its defenses. A swarm of insects descended, not attacking randomly but targeting specific components of their technology. Tiny beetles, evolved over millions of years to break down the toughest natural materials, began degrading the molecular structure of their armor. Spiders spun webs of impossible strength, their silk adapting on contact with the aliens' equipment. "Fall back." Naira's voice crackled through their failing comm systems. "The ship sensors are detecting massive biological activity. Something's affecting our orbital systems." The tiger attacked then, but not alone. Wolves emerged from the tree-line, moving in perfect coordination with the big cat, an impossible alliance that defied natural law. Behind them came smaller predators, wolverines, foxes, even the tiny but fierce ermines, all moving as if directed by a single mind. Krell unleashed a barrage of stun pulses, the energy weapons designed to incapacitate even the largest prey. But the animals moved as if they anticipated each shot, the entire ecosystem adapting in real time to counter their technology. "This isn't natural evolution," Naira transmitted, her analytical mind racing to comprehend what they faced. "The bacterial density in the atmosphere, it's not just background life. It's a communication network, a planetary nervous system." Vexor watched in growing horror as their advanced hunting equipment, tested across countless worlds, failed system by system. The cold Siberian air filled with microscopic ice crystals, each one carrying corrupted fragments of their technology's code, spreading like a virus through their systems. They retreated, fighting through waves of coordinated resistance from creatures large and small. Even the plants joined the assault, releasing chemical compounds that reacted with their suit materials, making them brittle in the extreme cold. Back aboard the Shadowfang, Vexor's team regrouped, their confidence shattered. The ship's biological components were showing signs of stress, organic circuits struggling against invasion by Earth-based microorganisms that had hitched a ride on their suits. "How?" Krell demanded, his armor scarred and partially dissolved. "They're primitive. No space travel, no energy weapons, no unified planetary government. How could they mount such a defense?" Naira's cybernetic eyes processed the flood of data from their disastrous hunt. "We were wrong about this world. We looked for technology, for weapons, for individual apex predators. We should have been looking at the whole." She projected a hologram of Earth's biosphere, now alive with patterns they'd previously missed. This planet has spent billions of years evolving not just individual species, but an interconnected defense system. The humans aren't the dominant species, they're part of something far more complex. Impossible, Vexor growled, but his inner eyelids flickered with uncertainty. No ecosystem can achieve this level of coordination without intelligence guiding it. Unless, Naira suggested, her voice quiet with revelation, the intelligence emerged from the system itself. These patterns, the way every level of life responds to threats. Earth isn't just a planet. It's the most sophisticated organic superorganism we've ever encountered. A warning klaxon blared through the ship. The Shadowfang's biological components were degrading, invaded by Earth organisms that evolved and adapted at impossible speeds. On the viewing screens, they watched as their hunter-killer drones, released as a last resort, were systematically dismantled by swarms of birds moving with fighter pilot precision. "We have to abort," Naira insisted. "We're not equipped for this. Our weapons, our technology, they're worse than useless here. They're being turned against us." But Vexor's pride wouldn't let him retreat. "Not yet. Prepare for a second deployment," he commanded. "This time, we'll target their oceans. Surely their marine life can't be part of this defense network." The look Naira exchanged with Zara spoke volumes. They'd come expecting to find primitive creatures ready for harvest. Instead, they'd awakened something ancient and powerful, a planetary immune system that had been evolving and perfecting its defenses since life first emerged from Earth's primordial seas. And those seas, as they would soon discover, held secrets far darker than anything they'd encountered in the frozen forests of Siberia. Depths of deception. The Shadowfang limped through Earth's atmosphere, its biological systems fighting a losing battle against the invading microorganisms. They positioned themselves above the Pacific Ocean, where the vast expanse of dark water concealed unknowable depths beneath. The water should buffer most of their biological defenses, Vexor insisted, studying the holographic representations of Earth's marine ecosystems. Water resistance will slow their response time, limit their coordination. Naira's cybernetic eyes whirred as she processed oceanic data. "Commander, these readings. The bacterial density in the ocean is 1,000 times higher than on land. And these electrical patterns. Launch the aquatic hunter pods," Vexor interrupted. "Target the largest predator in their waters, the one they call killer whale." This time, they deployed with modified equipment. Their suits were reinforced with molecular barriers designed to resist biological contamination. Their weapons were recalibrated for underwater combat. Yet as the pods descended into the dark waters, an uneasy silence fell over the team. The ocean depths welcomed them with deceptive calm. Beams of sunlight penetrated the upper layers, creating an almost peaceful scene. Their targets were nearby, a pod of orcas moving with graceful precision through the water. "Multiple signatures," Zara reported, her sensory tendrils detecting something odd about the whale's biorhythms. "They're singing. But the frequencies are unlike anything in our database." "Irrelevant," Krell growled through the comm, "deploy the sonic containment grid." The hunters activated their advanced technology, creating a web of sound waves designed to disorient and trap their prey. But the moment the grid engaged, something extraordinary happened. The orcas' songs changed, their frequencies precisely matching and canceling the alien technology's effects. "Impossible!" Krell snarled. "They can't understand our technology, let alone counter it." But the orcas weren't acting alone. Beneath them, vast shadows moved in the depths. Sperm whales ascended, their powerful sonar pulses disrupting the hunters' communication systems. Schools of fish moved in hypnotic patterns, creating living electromagnetic fields that confused their sensors. Then came the true horror. The ocean floor itself seemed to wake up. Bioluminescent organisms lit up in synchronized patterns, creating a devastating visual assault that overloaded their optical sensors. Clouds of plankton shifted and flowed like living weapons, each microscopic organism carrying enzymes that began breaking down their equipment's outer layers. "The entire ocean is alive," Naira transmitted, her voice filled with awe and terror. "Not just individual creatures, it's a single, coordinated entity." Vexer watched in disbelief as swarms of squid emerged from the depths, their chromatophores flashing in patterns that seemed to carry encrypted data. Schools of fish moved with military precision, forming living barriers and attack formations. Even the coral reefs pulsed with activity, releasing clouds of spawning materials that their suits' filters couldn't fully resist. But the true nightmare came from below. From the deepest trenches, ancient creatures emerged, species unknown to human science. Massive forms that had evolved in the pressure and darkness, carrying genetic memories of Earth's earliest defense systems. Their biology was so alien, so perfectly adapted to their environment, that even the hunters' advanced scanning technology couldn't properly process what they were seeing. Breach in Sector 7. Zara screamed as something massive rose from the depths. Multiple breaches. They're not just attacking, they're learning. The ocean itself seemed to turn against them. Currents shifted unnaturally, microscopic organisms collaborated to create pressure differentials that threatened to crush their suits. The very chemistry of the water around them began to change as billions of bacteria released compounds that reacted with their equipment. "Fall back," Vexer finally ordered, his pride shattered by the realization that they faced something beyond their comprehension. "Emergency ascent, all units." But retreat wasn't as simple as swimming up. The ocean's defenses had evolved over millions of years to protect Earth from threats both internal and external. Layers of living barriers formed above them, nets of jellyfish whose stings could penetrate their compromised armor, swarms of organisms that turned the water into a viscous trap. As they fought their way to the surface, Naira's analytical systems finally processed the truth about Earth's oceans. "Commander," she transmitted, "these aren't just random defense mechanisms. The ocean, it remembers. Every invasion, every threat over billions of years, the biological responses have been encoded into the DNA of every creature, from the largest whale to the smallest bacteria. They barely escaped, their hunter pods critically damaged, their equipment failing." Back aboard the Shadowfang, the crew watched in horror as their ship's biological components began exhibiting strange mutations, influenced by the mere exposure to Earth's oceans. "We have to leave," Zara insisted, her sensory tendrils still reeling from the encounter. "This planet, it's not just defended. It's weaponized on a genetic level." But Vexer stood silently, watching the swirling patterns of bioluminescence visible even from orbit. His species had prided themselves on being the galaxy's ultimate hunters, yet here they were, outmatched by life forms they had dismissed as primitive. And somewhere in the ship's compromised biological circuits, Earth's influence was already spreading, preparing to reveal even greater horrors. Enemy within. The Shadowfang's corridors pulsed with an alien rhythm. What started as subtle mutations in the ship's biological components had evolved into something far more sinister. The living tissue that formed the vessel's neural network had begun reorganizing itself, influenced by the Earth organisms they'd unwittingly brought aboard. "Quarantine breached in sections 3 through 7, the ship's AI announced, its usually smooth voice distorted by corrupted biological interfaces. Unknown organic restructuring detected in life support systems." Vexer stood in the command center, watching as diagnostic screens displayed the spread of Earth's influence through his ship. The supposedly impenetrable biological firewalls, designed to prevent exactly this type of contamination, were being systematically dismantled by microscopic invaders that evolved faster than their systems could adapt. "The ship's immune response is failing," Naira reported, her cybernetic eyes tracking the infection's progress. "These Earth organisms, they're not just surviving in our environment, they're transforming it. Teaching our ship's biological components new patterns of behavior." A sudden tremor ran through the vessel. In the walls, the living circuitry visibly shifted, forming new neural pathways that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns eerily similar to those they'd witnessed in Earth's oceans. "We need to initiate emergency purge protocols," Krell insisted, his armor still bearing scars from their oceanic encounter. "Burn out all compromised systems before." The ship's lights flickered, then shifted to a deep, organic blue. On every screen, data streams began flowing in unfamiliar patterns, the ship's AI struggling to process commands through increasingly alien pathways. "It's too late," Zara whispered, her sensory tendrils detecting changes in the very air they breathed. "The ship's biological components, they're not just infected. They're being recruited." Vexer watched as the command center's walls began to ripple with new growth. The living tissue that formed their ship's brain was developing structures never seen before, guided by Earth's evolutionary templates. Their mighty vessel, once the pride of their hunting fleet, was becoming a hybrid entity. "Seal off the critical systems," he ordered, but even as he spoke, the words felt futile. The ship's biological components had always been interconnected, it was what made their technology so powerful. But now that very interconnectedness had become their greatest vulnerability. The crew split up, fighting their way through corridors that grew increasingly organic. The ship's internal defense systems, designed to protect them from external threats, began exhibiting signs of independent behavior. Security fields flickered with new patterns, and atmospheric regulators released compounds that made their armor's filters work harder with each passing moment. In the engineering section, Naira made a terrifying discovery. "The ship's waste recycling systems," she transmitted, her voice tight with controlled panic. "The bacteria we use to process organic matter, they've formed a symbiotic relationship with Earth's microorganisms. They're evolving into something new." Krell's team found similar mutations in the weapons bay. Their biological ammunition, semi-sentient projectiles designed to adapt to any target, had begun showing signs of transformation. The containment fields that held their most dangerous specimens were fluctuating, influenced by new biological signals that rippled through the ship's neural network. "Commander," Zara called from the sensor array, "I'm detecting changes in our long-range communication system. The organic transmitters, they're trying to send signals back to Earth." The implications hit Vexer like a physical blow. Their ship, with its vast database of biological knowledge gathered from across the galaxy, was attempting to share that information with Earth's defense systems. If those signals got through, they would be giving a planetary superorganism access to technologies and biological adaptations from thousands of worlds. "Cut all external communications," he ordered. "Shut down every transmitter, even if you have to destroy them." But the ship had other plans. As they fought to contain the spread of Earth's influence, the vessel's transformed systems began displaying an intelligence that went beyond mere biological adaptation. It was learning, evolving, becoming something that straddled the line between their technology and Earth's organic defense network. In the primary biology lab, specimen containers began to crack. The countless samples they'd collected from Earth, plants, insects, bacteria, were growing, changing, merging with the ship's systems. The sterile laboratory became a jungle of hybrid life forms, each one a unique combination of terrestrial and alien biology. "The ship is trying to repair itself," Naira realized, watching the chaos unfold. "But it's using Earth's templates. Everything we believed about biological engineering. Earth's systems are rewriting the rules." Vexer stood in his rapidly transforming command center, faced with an impossible decision. Their ship, one of the most advanced vessels in the galaxy, was becoming a threat to everything they understood about life itself. Every moment they remained in Earth's orbit increased the risk of their own technology being turned against them, not by any singular enemy, but by the collective intelligence of an entire planet's biosphere. As the walls around them continued to pulse with alien life, Vexer finally understood the true nature of their mistake. They had come to Earth looking for primitive creatures to hunt, but instead, they had found something far more dangerous, a world that had turned the very process of evolution into a weapon. And now that weapon was loose aboard their ship, transforming everything it touched, creating something that was neither fully of Earth nor of their own world, a hybrid horror that threatened to rewrite the rules of life itself. Evolution's endgame. The Shadowfang had ceased to be merely a ship. Through the viewing windows of what remained of the command center, Vexor watched as the vessel's outer hull rippled with patterns of bioluminescence, mirroring the oceanic displays they'd witnessed below. Their mighty hunting vessel had become a hybrid entity, a living testament to Earth's devastating defensive capabilities. Hull integrity at 30%, Naira reported, her cybernetic systems struggling to interface with the ship's transformed networks. The biological components are completely restructured. Our own technology is. She hesitated, searching for the right word, evolving. Around them, the command center had become a nightmare fusion of their advanced technology and Earth's adaptive biology. Walls breathed with alien rhythms, control surfaces pulsed with new neural patterns, and the air itself was thick with microscopic organisms that had learned to thrive in their supposedly sterile environment. "We still have the emergency quantum drive," Krell suggested, his once imposing frame now seeming small against the organic chaos surrounding them. "We could trigger a controlled overload, sterilize the ship." A sudden surge of activity through the ship's neural network cut him off. The hybrid systems had learned to interpret their communications, to anticipate their plans. Tendrils of transformed biomatter erupted from the walls, moving with terrible purpose. "It's not just defending itself," Zara whispered, her sensory organs overwhelmed by the complexity of what they were witnessing. "It's implementing improvements. Everything we know about biological engineering. Earth's systems are using it, enhancing it." Vexor watched as displays showed the spread of mutation throughout the ship. The vessel's biological components, originally designed to enhance their technology, had become a bridge between two entirely different approaches to evolution. Earth's defense mechanisms weren't just surviving in their environment, they were elevating it, creating something entirely new. "Commander," Naira called out, her voice tight with urgency. "Long-range scanners are detecting something approaching. Multiple signatures, rising from Earth's atmosphere." The main viewer, now more organic than mechanical, shifted to show their visitors. Swarms of creatures were ascending from Earth's surface, birds, insects, and other flying life forms, all moving with impossible coordination in the thin upper atmosphere. But they weren't alone. Microscopic organisms rode with them, carried on air currents into the extreme environments of near space. "Impossible," Krell breathed. No primitive life form could survive these conditions. But survive they did. More than that, they thrived. The creatures were changing as they rose, their biology adapting in real time to the harsh conditions of space. Earth's defense system had learned from its contact with their technology, and now it was implementing those lessons on a planetary scale. "We have to go," Zara pleaded. "Before." The ship shuddered violently. In the transformed biology labs, specimen containers that held samples from their previous hunts across the galaxy began to crack. Earth's influence had reached them, teaching ancient and powerful creatures new ways to adapt, to evolve, to survive. Vexor finally understood the true magnitude of their mistake. They had come to Earth seeing it as a primitive world, its creatures nothing more than trophies to be collected. Instead, they had found something unprecedented, a planet that had turned the very process of evolution into a weapon, a defense system that could learn from every threat it encountered and adapt not just to survive, but to thrive. "Naira," he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of revelation, "initiate emergency protocols. Not just for the ship, send warnings to the entire hunting fleet. Earth is not to be approached. Not to be studied. Not even to be observed. The quantum drive is our only chance," she agreed, her cybernetic fingers dancing across controls that were more flesh than machine. But the ship's hybridized systems, they might not respond predictably. It was a risk they had to take. As Earth's modified life forms approached their position, as their own ship continued its transformation into something beyond their control, they had one last chance to prevent their technology from falling completely into Earth's evolutionary arsenal. The quantum drive engaged with a sound unlike anything they'd ever heard, part mechanical whine, part organic scream. Space itself seemed to twist around them as the hybrid ship, caught between two evolutionary paradigms, tore its way back into the void between stars. They escaped, but they left behind more than just their pride as the galaxy's greatest hunters. They had given Earth's defense systems a glimpse of what lay among the stars, new challenges to adapt to, new threats to defend against. And as their twisted ship limped home through the darkness of space, they carried with them the terrible knowledge that they had awakened something ancient and powerful. Earth was not just another world to be hunted. It was evolution's ultimate experiment, a planet that had turned its entire biosphere into a weapon, ready to defend itself against any threat the galaxy might offer. And now, thanks to their hubris, it had begun to reach for the stars. In the years that followed, the hunting fleets would give Earth's solar system a wide berth, warning others away from the seemingly primitive world that harbored such deadly secrets. And on Earth itself, life continued its endless dance of adaptation and evolution, its defense systems now enhanced by the knowledge stolen from would-be conquerors. The hunters had become the hunted, and Earth's greatest weapon, life itself, had proven mightier than any technology the galaxy could bring to bear.